The tip this week is rather something to avoid or to use for special projects, and that is selvage treatments. This is a little swatch from last week, and you can see that it's been blocked so that the selvage edges are flat. And notice that the selvage isn't very attractive. It's, what I've done to create this selvage is I've worked the stitches as they've appeared. I've knit the first stitch on a right side row, and I've purled the first stitch on a wrong side row. And why it's important that you do this is selvage treatments can disguise tension issues, and if the edge is going to be finished, that is, it's going to be seamed or have stitches picked up, you need to have these little horizontal bars in here. Now what I frequently see in swatches that have been sent in for the basics class, and it shows up in the master's program as well, although we tell people not to do it, is this situation. And I have not blocked this swatch yet, so it's curling a bit. And if you notice, there is no flat selvage. There are these slip stitches that look like a chain going up the side. And the reason why this isn't great is you can see that if we pull this apart, I'm getting this distorted area. Now I might think, oh, this is great. I'm going to be picking stitches up along this edge and it's going to be fabulous. Well, what you're going to do is if I pick up here, I pick up here, I pick up here, I am not going to get the correct ratio. And if I use this to seam, I'm going to get a very kind of not a strong looking seam. It's also going to show through a bit. So I want to avoid it for that reason. But why would I ever want this? Well, if I have an edge that is not going to be finished, it is perfectly lovely. For a scarf, or say for the edge of a band that I'm picking up, it does give a nice finish, but never ever for an edge that's going to be finished. And what brought this up is that I'd received some swatches where this treatment had been used and kind of remind me of it. And the projects that I'm doing for cast on in this issue have their garter stitch and unfinished edges. And so what I've done is I've used this same treatment to have this nice little chain going up the side. I used it at the bottom of the sideways skirt, and I'm using it on the edge of the Circles Within Circles shawl. Now, the reason why I chose it is that this is a regular garter stitch where I've knit the first and last stitch, and I just don't like the looks of it as much. I think this, consider it just has a nicer finish, so that's why I've picked it. Now, one of the things that happens when you're a master knitter is that you learn a variety of techniques, and you apply those techniques to projects as needed. Now, I'm going to show you how you get that edge if you haven't seen this before. And I'm going to first do stockinette, and then I'm going to do garter because it's a different procedure. For stockinette, and I've decided this is going to be my wrong side row. So, on a wrong side row, I slip the first stitch purlwise, and then I go ahead and I purl that row, and when I go to turn, I'm on the right side and I'm going to slip it knitwise on the right side row. I rarely ever use this for stockinette. Actually had to look this up, make sure I remembered correctly. And I'm on a wrong side row, so I'm going to slip it purlwise. And I just continue to do that. Now again, this is for something that's not going to have a finished edge. Now, although the swatches in the master's program and in the basics class do not have finished edges, don't do this. It makes it difficult to evaluate the tension of the work. Now, that's what you do for stockinette. For garter stitch, it's important that you slip the stitches purlwise always, and you bring the yarn around to the front, back around that stitch, and then you work. If you don't, you're going to get this little, if you try and slip it knitwise, you're going to get this little nub at the bottom, not very attractive. So I'm going to slip it purlwise. I'm going to bring it to the back of the work, and I'm going to knit. And that's what you do to get that same edge in garter stitch.